Guys, there are spoilers for this film and this review. So if you don't want to end up friendless, go watch the film and come back. You have been warned. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Shelf. I'm your host, Ronan Time HD, and this week, what we found off the shelf was...
ฉันก็แค่อยากจะอยู่กับคนที่ฉันรักพวกพี่ไม่ยุ่งอะไรด้วยอย่างนี้ก็ไม่ได้เรียกว่ารักหรอกก็เรียกว่าเห็นแก่ตัวมึงอย่าไปยุ่งกับกู
Mock, released in 2013, directed by, bear with me here, Banjong, Pisanthanakun, I'm very sorry, starring Maurer and Davika, Hoorne. I probably didn't pronounce those names correctly either. This film was lovingly released by our friends over at Error 4444. Thanks. Just a little side note here. Thank you very much for releasing these harder to find films in the States that are wildly enjoyable. Very much appreciated. This film is a comedy horror, leaning more on the comedy with a hint of romance in there. This is also based on a folk story in Thai folklore. It is also the highest grossing, the most successful Thai film in Thai history. And I believe it still is, from my knowledge as of now. Which I think is really friggin' cool. And I think it deserves it, honestly. I'm gonna just jump straight into this movie. Well, I guess a little side note. There are little differences from the folk story, but I'll get into that later. Either way, I think this film was really friggin' enjoyable. It felt like it's the kind of comedy that I like. If you guys don't know, I like a lot of comedy, right? But most of the comedy that I like is like super stupid, slapstick, dumb humor. I do like smart humor too, right? But just like there's something special about just some stupid jokes that land well, right? And this movie's full of that. Like, these jokes are stupid, but they're supposed to be stupid, right? That's the whole appeal of the stupidity, right? Is that every character in this movie is an idiot, right? Almost every character in this movie is an idiot. And I love that. Like, I ended up, like, there's the main character, Mock. He actually has, like, 4 friends who are also main characters who, like, are as prevalent as him as protagonists, and I called them the 4 Stooges, right? Because they were just the biggest idiots that weren't, like, malicious. They meant well, but they just, like, they were like the anti-King Midas. Like, everything they touched went to shit. Like, everything went worse by them trying to bring in intervention, right? Like, and that's what was funny about it. Like, every time they tried to make shit better, it just made shit worse, right? And they were just super entertaining. And one thing I really liked about the film was all the characters complemented each other, right? I feel like if one character was removed, the dynamic would work less. Like, they wouldn't be as funny if one of the members of the group was missing. And I love that. You know, I love how they work cohesively as a group, as a comedic ensemble, I guess maybe is a good way to describe it. But honestly, I just really enjoyed the way, like, their banter, like, their back and forth was really entertaining, whether they were, like, just going back and forth, like, saying stupid shit, or they were, like, screaming at the top of their lungs over and over again, or they were just, like, running into shit and, like, breaking shit and kicking each other off of boats and shit. It was just really funny, and honestly, I think the whole cast, like, the main cast had really good chemistry. They, like, gelled together really well. And you could tell on screen, because I think when you can tell the actors are having fun, I feel like it's easy for the audience to also, like, for their enjoyment to kind of, like, radiate off of the screen and into the viewer, and they'll be like, oh man, they're having fun, now I'm having fun. You know what I mean? Like, if that makes sense. And I think, I don't know, I just loved so much about this film, and the comedy is probably my main takeaway from it. But I also just really like the characters, right? I think the characters were the strongest aspect of the film. And I just got really invested in this little group of dumbasses, right? I really like how the smartest character in the movie was a ghost, right? And even then, she was weird in her own right. She would just, like, obviously being a ghost, she was, like, creepy and off-putting, and she would, like, give a death stare to the friends all the time. She would just, like, stare into their soul, like, all the time. And whenever they would cut to her, they would just, like, there would just be, like, abrupt cuts. They would be, like, talking to her, and there would just be an abrupt cut to her just with, like, a musical cue, and it was hilarious every single time. And the thing is about Knock, this movie is so well written that it really keeps you guessing on who the ghost actually is. Because at first you're like, oh, well, it's gotta be Knock, right? She's gotta be the ghost. But then is it like, well, is the guy the ghost? Or the friends the ghost? Who the fuck is the ghost? Right? And I really like that. The movie's so well written, it keeps you guessing. And while it keeps you guessing, it's still making you laugh at the same time. But, obviously, if you're familiar with the folk story, which a lot of people in Thailand were, they knew she was the ghost already, but I wasn't familiar with it, so the writing kind of tricked me a little bit, right? So this is just, I guess, bias for somebody who is a bit ignorant to the context of the movie. And also, I guess, giving context and familiarity with the story. Apparently the film, before it came out, they had a bit of pushback, but they quickly, I guess, redirected it, and it, like, everybody liked it after they released the first teaser. But another thing is, apparently this film was really, surprising for Thai audiences because the ending was different. And I did some research. The original ending of the folk story is really sad, right? It's essentially, Mak, the main guy, or he's the spirit is more the main character in the original story, but in this one they flip it around, and they make Mak the main character, and his friend's the main character. But aside from that, in the original story, Mak, like, is horrified, and he runs away, and he, like, prays, and, you know, like, is just like, you're a ghost, it's not natural, I can't be with you anymore, it's scary, right? And I know this is probably dumbing it down to a massive degree, but I'm kind of just trying to be concise here. But then she gets upset, so then she starts terrorizing the village, and then certain stories, like, change on what happens next. Like, a monk, sometimes they, like, trap her in something, sometimes she's, like, freed, or there's rumors she's, like, in a waistband. To this day, she's, like, in an ancient relic that, like, Indiana Jones would try to find and like, some point or something, I don't know. Either way, as I was saying, there are differences. But in this, he doesn't care that she's a ghost. It actually reveals that he knew she was a ghost almost the entire time, right? Like, half of the movie, he had known that she was a ghost, right? And he just didn't care because he loved her that much. Love prevails, right? It was basically like the power of love prevailed over, like, what's natural. Who cares about what's natural? You know, it doesn't matter that she's living and he's dead. He's living and she's dead, right? It's about love. They love each other so much that they can break those barriers, right? And then, like, they just become, like, a goof troop with, like, the Four Stooges, and I love it so much. And they show, in the credits, they show them just, like, vibing. They show, the Four Stooges and the family, like, just vibing and doing shit, and it's like, I'm so happy. Like, it was a feel-good movie, you know what I mean? Although, I guess this might feel a little nitpicky, right? Because it is. I feel like the end was a little too long, like, where they were, like, obviously, it was supposed to be melodramatic. It is a bit of a melodrama near the end, but they were kind of, for me, it went a little too long. Not for me to not enjoy the scene. Obviously, I still liked the characters, and I still liked the emotional beats that hit in that scene. I just personally believe they went a little bit too long. Either way, aside from that, I don't really have any major complaints. I think the film was just overall a damn good time. I was really invested the whole time, and even more importantly, I was guffawing. I was chuckling. I was laughing the whole time through this movie was genuinely a riot, in my opinion. This movie was fucking hilarious. This is probably I can't think of any other, like, Error 4444 movies that have made me laugh this hard, right? I genuinely think that this is probably one of my favorite Error 4444 releases, mainly because of how different it is. Like, most of their movies are usually, like, exploitation movies, or, like, weird action movies, or straight up horror movies. Maybe some with slight comedic elements, but most horror movies have slight comedic elements anyway. But I can't think of a Error 4444 movie that I've watched that is a full-on comedy like this one, and I am thankful for it. And I kind of hope they release more Asian comedies, right? Like Asian comedy horrors, because I thought this one was fucking great. So Error 4444, if you're watching this, release more comedies. They're very enjoyable. Either way, I've been kind of going off on a tangent here, but I just really, really like this movie, and I would highly recommend it. I mean, obviously, if you're Thai and you enjoy the folk story, I mean, you probably have already seen it, since it's said to be the most successful Thai movie ever made, so I'd assume you'd already seen it. But if you haven't, or if you're not even Thai, if you're just a fan of the folk story, you've heard of the folk story, or you just want a good comedy, you want a good horror comedy, this is for you. This movie's just awesome. Really, really liked it. And, thinking back on it, I was gonna rate it like a 7.5, but I think, like, looking on it, I genuinely had a good time. And this is my fucking channel, so I'm gonna rate it how I like. I'm gonna give this film an 8 out of 10. And that's just because I enjoyed it that much. Don't judge me. This is a fucking good movie, and if you watched it, you'd understand why I gave it an 8 out of 10. Either way, I'm just doing whatever. Yeah, I think I've said to say. I think I've said my piece. So, guys, I hope you like this video. Share it with friends. Subscribe. Turn those notifications on. Comment down below on how much you liked it. And I've been Richie off to spend the rest of my life with my ghost wife. It rhymes. You know, like, rest off to spend the rest of my life with my ghost wife. So, I was doing some research on this movie, right? And apparently, the director said that before this movie came out, when, like, the casting was revealed, people were actually pretty upset because the main actor that played Mock in this movie, he's actually foreign appearance. He had a foreign appearance anyway. He's, like, mixed. So people were actually mad because I believe they just wanted it to be, like, pure Thai people because it was like a Thai folk thing and they wanted to be pure Thai. But in the teaser, they made fun of the fact that he was foreign. So he said, "Oh, my name's not Mock, my name is Mark." Right? So they, like, made a joke out of it, and then people were fine with it because they were, like, self-aware and they made fun of the fact that he was foreign. And then people were like, well, sin's absolved. This movie is peak now, and I'm gonna watch it 1 billion times and make it #1 in the box office in Thailand. And I get that, let bygones be bygones. It is a pretty peak movie, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm the next Dr. Seuss up in this bitch.